Family reunification was traditionally structured to help immigrants be reunited with their families who live in different countries. But a new law just took effect that pertains to domestic situations, and we have the person who carried that legislation in the Senate joining us now, Senator Kathy Sheran. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
I appreciate the chance to talk about this bill.
Yeah, Senator, let's begin with what exactly does your Family Reunification Act do?
Well, this is a bill that addresses the issue that a lot of young people who are put in care of the state because parents have neglected them or have engaged in behaviors that have endangered the life of a child, and those parental rights are removed. The children are placed in foster care, and sometimes they get adopted out of foster care, but sometimes they don't. So this piece of legislation specifically speaks to those children who have been in the system for a while, have been protected, whose family might have done a number of things to improve their circumstances, improve their parenting skills, resolve the issues that might have contributed to the neglect that they engaged in that caused them to lose their parental rights. And so this is a process that allows those families, after they've lost their parental rights, to consider the possibility of family reunification under very specific circumstances.
And let's talk about some of those circumstances, and more importantly, the exceptions where perhaps family reunification cannot be an option.
Yes, there are circumstances under which this would never apply, and that is in the case where there has been sexual abuse, or if there was the death of a minor as a result of the parental activity, or very egregious kind of behavior towards children. This is really directed towards those families that may have had some problems with chemical dependency that might have been resolved, or were very young and had not learned good boundary setting or parenting skills and had used physical discipline or physical aggression and gone too far. These children are children who have been in the system for a while. They have to have been in foster care at least 36 months. They have to be at 15 years of age, and they have to be able to go back into a family that is clearly demonstrating that they've resolved and taken care of the issues for which the reason that they lost custody of their children occurred in the first place.
Most states do have some form of a reasonable effort law that's aimed at keeping families together. How strong do you think Minnesota's law is, this family reunification law? Do you think it's tight?
I think, is it tight? Could you help me understand what you mean by that?
Meaning, do you believe that the systems in place are going to protect children from going back into households they shouldn't be in?
I think the limitations on this are quite strong. This has been brought forward by the County Attorneys Association. The counties continue to have control over the decision making about whether or not a family can have reunification in partnership with the social services at the county level. If they don't agree to it, it simply does not occur, so there has a very high standard of proof that the family has to demonstrate in order to receive this very special right to consider reunification. If it's done under the right conditions, we think it's in the best interest of the child.
And let's talk a little bit about that. The Princeton Brookings Journal researched this issue. Now, it was back in 2004, but it came to this conclusion, quote, "Over the past 20 years, little progress has been made in defining and implementing meaningful reunification programs." Again, it's an older study. Do you think things have changed?
Well, I don't know how to respond to that because I'm not familiar with this study. What I do know, though, is that of the children that begin the year in foster care, very few of them, less like a third of them maybe, are successful in getting adopted, so they stay in a foster care system. So the question has to be asked, along with the questions raised by that study, is whether or not staying in a foster care system is in the best interest of the child. And if families have made significant improvement, why isn't it in their best interest if after the age of 15 they could reunify for those last 3 years before they become adult?
So this is a win-win, in your opinion?
Absolutely, it's a win-win. And I think we need to thank Ron Elwood and John Choi, Ron Elwood from the legal aid, representing legal aid, and John Choi, who is with the county attorneys in Ramsey County, for bringing forward this important legislation. It comes from the counties, and they're the ones that really have the control in the end over this. So I'm confident that we can review this and see that it's going well, and if there are problems. In the law itself, it allows, if a family falls back and starts to repeat their behavior, that they can lose their parental rights again. But I think the risk is minimal compared to what the positive outcomes might be for a young person.
Senator Kathy Sheran, thank you for coming in and joining us and talking about this legislation. Very important. We appreciate it.
Well, I thank you for the invitation.